Hello and thank you for watching. My name is Heather Alexandra, and today we're going to talk about all those really cool boss fights in Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania recreates the excitement of earlier Sonic games through a mixture of dizzying speed and winding level design. It's awesome. I really love Sonic Mania, but capturing the memory of the original games also requires a faithful recreation of their mechanics. Sonic jumps, spins, and dashes with a familiar ease. These long-standing Sonic mechanics shine in the game's exciting boss encounters, which remix and reshuffle Sonic's gameplay vocabulary. One way to meaningfully identify actions in games is to count the verbs it's possible to perform. This isn't a particularly in-depth way of analyzing mechanics, but it's a very simple way to understand the various things you can do. In Sonic Mania, the number of verbs is actually really small. Sonic is able to run back and forth, roll for greater speed, and jump over obstacles or to attack enemies. There are modifications of these verbs. For instance, Sonic can spin dash to build up more speed or roll faster, and later on he gains the ability to drop dash, instantly rolling with a great amount of speed whenever he hits the ground. If jumping and rolling are the verbs, these modifications are adverbs. They shift and change the basic meaning of what these actions are. Mania gets a great deal of mileage from this core set of verbs, and this is particularly clear in the game's boss fights. Let's consider the verb jump. Jumping is a very simple verb. It's easy to understand, but you can actually do a lot with it. One way to keep jumping interesting is to stress precision jumping and attacks. At the end of Press Garden Zone Act 2, players are faced with a battle against a leaping ninja robot. He's one of the hard-boiled heavies. Normal attacks are blocked by this enemy. He parries them and freezes Sonic in an ice block. The trick is to attack when the robot is jumping. Limiting the active time when the player can effectively perform the core action of jumping and attacking adds tension and challenge to the encounter. The jump verb is also altered in other boss fights as well. The boss fight at the end of Titanic Monarch Zone Act 1 takes place in a rising and falling elevator shaft that distorts gravity. If it's going up, you sort of slam down to the ground. If it's falling, you can jump a little higher. This randomly changes throughout the battle, and it changes the range and speed of Sonic's jump. Altering the environments boss fights take place in allows Mania's designers to limit the available mechanics while keeping the experience fresh and exciting. The designers do a lot with a little. The limited mechanics make sure that everything is familiar no matter what. You don't suddenly have to learn too many new things. But you can always remix and change the context of a battle or fight in order to add a little bit of extra spice. Sonic Mania's boss fights don't always rely on the core verbs, though. One of the game's most surprising boss fights comes really early on. It's at the end of Chemical Plant Zone Act 2. Here, the player is asked to complete a match of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. It's basically just a version of Puyo Puyo that's been shoved into the middle of a Sonic game. In this moment, the game's verbs are completely rewritten. Sonic doesn't jump, he doesn't roll, he doesn't run. Instead, the only thing he can do is rotate and drop puzzle pieces. This sort of tactic of changing the verbs that are available to you is also repeated later on in Hydrocity Zone Act 1. Hydrocity Zone? Hydrocity Zone? Hydrocity? I'm going to say Hydrocity Zone. In that boss fight, you get to jump into Robotnik's hovercraft. It's an inversion of the boss fight setup that we're used to in Sonic games, swapping out Sonic's traditional verb set and instead giving him the ability to suck up water into the machine and use that to attack Robotnik. These moments change the pace and change the verb set, but they never occur frequently enough to confuse the player with a completely new tool set. But they do surprise, and they do become memorable. Sonic's limited set of actions means that players can focus on movement and platforming without too many distractions or gimmicks. If you know how to run and jump, you can get through most of Sonic Mania. When his verbs deviate, it breaks the action in a way that challenges and excites. And if you want to make Robotnik dangerous after so many years, that's one really good way to do it.